weird. Welcome, Anisha. Welcome, Reka. Welcome, Nathalie. Nice to see you all.
Thanks, Mary.
I'd like to invite any experiences that you've had you'd like to share. How was it for you? Yeah, Rena?
Yeah. Especially in the, coming back to myself after each and every, bringing another person in my space, heart space, mind space, and then coming back to myself was helpful. It helped me to honor myself and notice how much I ignore myself. So at some point, yeah, that nourished me, and also the physical, sitting with physical ease helped me in the last one. Because for the last one, where we're inviting somebody who we don't like at the present moment, and quite often it's one of our closest persons who we live with in physical surroundings. So there is that natural body's tension, and I'm guessing it would be hard to truly welcome them and us to be together. So reminder of physical ease, and then your words really brought that spaciousness and sadness from thawing, from numbing to sadness.
So you could feel the sadness.
Yeah. I mean, I shifted from the thawing or a frozenness to sadness.
Oh, great. Thanks, Karina. Yeah, Yvonne.
Thank you, Mary. While doing this practice, when you were inviting us to be with a person that is challenging, we're challenged to be with the person, I was trying to experience, to be connected with that person beyond the sense perceptions. I was trying to think I'm kind of an energy, and I cannot see, I cannot hear, I cannot touch, but I can be connected with that person, the energy of that person. So not thinking about what I see, what I hear, what I smell, what I touch, but I finding the energy of the other person and feeling the energy of myself and going beyond senses, getting connected with the person. So that was beautiful. So thank you for the opportunity to practice here.
Thank you, Yvonne. Diana?
Yeah, I felt initial anger, but as I was able to hear these beautiful words that everybody goes through sadness, disappointment, pain in the life, then it shifted into kindness and compassion. I was able to see the shared humanity that every human goes through. And yeah, and that is so different from what behaviors or actions people have done in their life. I was very much at peace and ease. When I focused on myself, I could sense that I am also similar like everybody else.
Mhm.
So a lot of mutuality, and yeah, I could sense so much lightness.
Mm. Mm. Thank you, Diana.
So thank you, Maria. So I experienced a opening of my heart really to the people who I loved, as well as to the people who I find difficult, to the person who I loved and to the person who I found difficult. And just that, and especially for the person that I found difficult, it was like they're just like me. They're so human, so human. We all have the same emotions, the same pains, the same joys, the same longings. And it was so lovely to open my heart and to be able to send them good wishes.
Mm.
It was so healing for me, and not just healing, but a lot of joy came into my heart as well. Yeah, and love for the person who I found who was finding difficult to accept.
Mm.
Acceptance. Yeah. Thank you, Mary.
Thank you. Thank you for sharing your experience, and thank you for that love.
Yeah.
Anisha?
Hey Mary and hey everybody.
Hi.
Good to be back here with all of y'all. So I came in a little late. I'm sorry about that. So I didn't hear all the instructions, but as we were talking, this one line that you said that the other person also has thoughts and feelings like me, and it just transported me to 9 years ago when my son was just 2 years old. And I remember some conversation we were having, and I was in a real rush. I had to take a flight, and he was just cranky and just refusing to cooperate. So in that triggered space, I told him, please don't be so difficult. And he turned back and told him he was just too, I am not being difficult. You are finding me difficult. And I know it's something about what he said has stayed with me ever since. I recognize that for me, most of my enemy images, surround around different parts of me. The part of me that can be impatient sometimes, the part of me that longs for ease, and sometimes this part comes in the way of connecting with the other person. So for me, uh, this other person has thoughts and feelings was more like, oh, this part of me that feels impatient sometimes does have needs, and this part of me that does long for ease and cooperation. So the gentleness that I was feeling towards different parts of me, Mary, but I imagine that you're talking about enemy images, and at least right now, I couldn't find any person out there, but I recognize different parts of me that I am in conflict with. Yeah. So thank you.
Thank you, Anisha, and welcome, Shalaka. Welcome, welcome.
Thank you, Mary.
Shall we move on to Raj? Shall we start with your part?
Well, Mary, I just wanted to share the value of doing something like that. An international intensive training in Kenya, Nairobi, Kenya. And the opening circle was this activity for people, welcoming them. And I have, I cannot explain the value of doing that. When people said, just like me, people from Africa, people from Europe, people from other parts of the world said, just like me, hurt, pain, and joy. I think that made the whole difference in the group connecting in that moment with each other in a whole different way that I don't think would have been possible if we didn't see each other as just like me. If I saw them as separate, if I saw them as different, I wouldn't relate to them in the same way.
Yeah.
And it just really, yeah. Have I had sorrow? Yes. Have I had joy? Do I aspire to be successful? But so do you.
Mm. Yeah.
And when I
One thing that's so beautiful, Raj. It's so beautiful. It's such a beautiful practice, and it's
listen to, and that's, I think, leads us into conflict. And a lot of what we're doing now is what is now being referred to, I don't like the term, othering, those others, they, you know, creating that separation as if they're different to me. I think that, yeah. So that part is where I think when we start to separate ourselves from others and not see each other's beauty in NVC, we say see each other's beauty or see the beauty of the needs. I would say seeing each other's humanity, seeing each other's dignity. That's really where the essence is. Am I coming from essence or I'm coming from ego?
mhm. Yeah, absolutely. I've been working with some teachers in Chile, in South America, and they're teaching their students about leadership and community service. And so we practice the just like me with them, to practice with their students, so that when they're doing community service, they're seeing the humanity of the people that they're serving, not thinking they're going in to help or fix. But it's a practice, it's a continual practice, and I invite you all to try. So
I think we're all, every day is an opportunity to practice. You can't just say, no, I've got it now, I can do this. Every day is a practice. Every day I'm on this journey, on this yatra. And there are many things that try to pull me off my track. And I have to bring my awareness of when I'm in the essence and when I'm in the ego. And that comes from the mindfulness about where am I responding from? Where am I reacting from? And then if we can stop in that moment and say, I'm reacting from as if there's something wrong with them or there's something wrong with me, versus what might they need, what am I needing? And that's the shift in consciousness that this NVC invites us to do, is instead of saying what's wrong with somebody or why won't they cooperate or there's something wrong with me, then to look at what are their needs, what are my needs? Yeah. And focus on building on connection. So Mary, there was a slide that I think we have the question, what is your association with the word conflict? Maybe if we can start.
I think, Yvonne, can you start with those? I don't know if you noticed, but I came in and out a couple times. My internet's not stable tonight. I'm visiting some friends and it's not stable. So if Yvonne could share that, that would be fantastic.
Okay, so if you'd be willing to share in the chat or using your microphone, when the word conflict comes up, what do you notice about your own inner reaction? What happens in your body? Emotions, thoughts. You know, take a minute, maybe even 30 seconds in silence without sharing. And, you know, get deep into the question. Get into the inquiry. Let's take a collective breath together and see if anybody would like to share a response or reaction, a response.
I want to share. Is it okay to unmute or you want us to type only?
Whichever works for you easily. If you like a flow of words and you want expression, please use the microphone. If not, you can do both. There's both. Yeah.
For me, when you said Yeah. I mean, when you said what is your association, the first word came to my mind was fear, and other thing is physically when I went inside, I felt being shaked up. My body starts shivering when there's that, and there's a lot of fear inside me whenever I see that, okay, this is a conflict, and I don't see it as a good thing to have.
Mhm.
Um,
Sounds like fear brings out the thought it's not safe now.
yes, yeah,
And the feeling
Uh,
is the fear, and the body reacts to that thinking that it's not safe now.
yeah, like losing other people, losing the relationships, those kind of things start coming in.
Beautiful. Okay, so leaving the relationship is the first pattern that we're going to do, is avoid.
Wow.
That's a response or reaction to conflict that is fairly common in us. The fear of, I'm not safe here, my safety will be compromised. So of course the body wants to protect you, the mind wants to protect you. So avoiding and withdrawing is a response. Thank you, Mandeep, for naming the first one that we usually have. Diana, you unmuted.
Yeah, so when I think of conflict, or if I come across conflict, I see that my body gets constricted and the emotion is tension or anger. The thoughts would be that I need to protect. So protection comes up, and in that I will either stand my ground or leave the ground.
Right. Avoid is that whole fight, flight, or freeze. What's going to happen now? That cycle comes into play when any time when the mind registered a scene that we believe I'm no longer safe here, that amygdala brain, the primitive brain, takes over, and we respond with either fight, flight, or freeze. Yeah. Thank you. There's something in the chat that someone's monitoring the chat. Anisha, I feel embarrassed saying this. Something about conflict energizes me. I see myself super vigilant, and there is a voice in my head that tells me to calm down and yet share openly what's going on. I love it. This is the stage where we want to get to, is, some people love conflict because they see it as an opportunity to connect. Yeah. So seeing conflict as a way to connect with the other person and a way to connect with myself. So Anisha, kudos to you for seeing conflict as, energizing you. Yeah. Anybody else? When I
There's
hear,
two others here too that are interesting. Chalaka, heart rate becomes fast, tightness in my shoulders, feelings of anxiety, tension, fear of being misunderstood, previous baggage affecting current context.
right, yeah. So all of these comments that are being made are human beings are hardwired for two things, for connection and safety.
Mhm.
We want to connect with others. We love connecting. We're people who like to live in tribes, in groups, in communities. So we're hardwired for connection. When difficult experiences have happened over a period of time, more than once, that have been difficult for us, we start to move to protection. We go from connection to protection because I'm not safe here. My voice won't be heard. I better be quiet. I better not add any more words to this conversation. And guess what? We give up on our needs when we do that.
Mm.
Yeah.
Rena writes, drop in energy at the beginning and then a pause or numbing, depending on the intensity of the situation or the relationship with the person.
Right. Yeah, absolutely. So Mandeep, I noticed you were smiling when I was saying about the comment about connection to protection. And that's a very human reaction because nobody wants to put themselves in the line of fire, so to speak, right? So it requires a huge amount of vulnerability.
Sudhir writes, when I hear the word conflict, the first reaction is a rejection of the self.
Yes, yes, yeah,
Mm.
yeah. You can't handle this. Let's not go here. It's going to be trouble. So there is that sounding like, rejection of the whole situation. I don't want to be here. I don't want to be in this. So yeah, let's
Yeah, absolutely.
go ahead.
That's what, yeah, that when the conflict situation, the word I hear that word, I find myself that this is not the situation I want to be in. So I would like to run away.
Right, right.
And yeah, and as a result of that, perhaps as you rightly said, or Anisa said, that it's an opportunity to connect,
Mhm.
that somebody is crying for that, and he is creating conflict with me because of that.
That's right.
But I'm running away, so I'm losing an opportunity to connect with him or her.
And that's beautiful. The opportunity is there. So, and what do I do to prepare myself to connect? So that's what
Yeah,
we look at is what do I need to do so that I can move safely, feeling safe, not mechanically and using like, oh, I need to get through this, because that's not the way we're going to be bursting through. So that
yeah, and instead of coming into, I mean, if the opportunity is there, and if I sense it, then instead of running away, can I, without being defensive, can I continue my dialogue with the other person in a way that is mutually satisfying to both of us, so that I can establish a connection and satisfy his needs, and in turn satisfying my needs also.
Absolutely. And that's the win-win we talk about. What I need and what you need, they both matter. Yeah.
Yeah. Thank you.
And it's really, these are beautiful ways in how we can map our own patterns. In some relationship, we do one pattern. In another relationship, we do another pattern. So let's move to the next slide, Mary, where we have the 3 A's. So yeah. Yeah, the good news about conflict, I would say it is a good news that usually there's at least two strategies, there's at least two ideas on how to solve the conflict. So we're hopeful that the conflict will get solved because maybe, Sudhir has one way and I have one way. Now at least there's two strategies. And so it's important that we look at how we can solve the problem. And people are usually attached to their own strategy. The more attachment and the more attached you are to your own strategy, the higher the conflict will be. Because the tighter you hold your fist, the less likely you will open your hand to extend to the other person, because you're still like this. You're less likely to open it and extend it to the other person. Yeah. How can we get to win-win? By paying attention to what I need and what you need. And otherwise, it's constantly going to be a tug of war. Sometimes you win and sometimes I win. And before you know it, I'm now keeping track of how many times I've given in to you or you have not given in to me. Yeah. Isn't that, Mandeep, a beautiful analogy of that tug of war? And in India, we play games of tug of war, right? Yes. Yeah. Next slide, please.
Yvonne?
This is the anchors or a grounding activity or a way to come home to yourself. Whatever you want to call it, it's important when you go into a conflict situation. It's helpful to have something that reminds you of being centered. And a simple technique that we can do in conflict is put your hands together. You may not be able to put them on your heart, but even on the table, if you're in a meeting room and something is agitating you, your hands one on top of the other. That is like connecting both sides of the brain and helping you de-escalate the energy. Yeah. So creating some kind of anchor, return to center, return to source, so that in your practice, yes, hand on the heart is absolutely fabulous. But sometimes in meetings, perhaps I don't want to do this. I don't want everybody to know that I'm holding my heart. But if I do this, put my hands on one on top of the other, it's like head and heart are being connected. Or I can put it under the table on my belly, because those are two things that really help us connect. One hand on the heart and one hand on the belly connects us to source. In fact, I have very agitated people that, if I've coached them, I say, you know what? I think both of us need to take a couple of breaths. How about we put a hand on the heart and hand on the belly and breathe together? And the person experiences de-escalation. Because it's like being held as a child and you're connected to your source.
Hey, Raj, I just came up with another anchor that I was thinking about if I were sitting in a meeting that I could do.
Yeah.
And that is to make a heart with my hands, but fold my hands and just put them on my lap. Then I look down, I have that little heart there that's reminding me, reminding me that I want to come to this conversation with heart and empathy, but nobody needs to see it. They just see my hands folded.
Yes. Mary, I just doodled the heart on my page.
Oh, nice.
I just draw it on the page.
Nice.
So anything that helps you get grounded, because that's really what you're needing, is the brain needs to know I'm safe here. And the more we can help the brain come back to a relaxed state, the more your prefrontal cortex comes online and the decision making starts to happen. Let's move to the next slide. All right. That, as Marshall would say, let's rise above it all with a giraffe neck, rise above it and see, what is the big picture here? I might yell and scream at you this time and get away with it, but how will it impact the relationship long term? So keeping the long-term vision in mind about not just this transaction, but the importance of this relationship, this connection. Yeah. And sometimes it's a stretch, sometimes we have strong feelings about a particular person because of the reactions that we've had or the conversations we've had with that person before. So the three pieces that I wanted to mention is avoidance is number one for a lot of people. Number two is we go into an attack mode. You say something that I don't like, I'm going to attack you back. Then you attack me back. And before you know it, it's a very escalated conversation. Yes. Thank you, Yvonne. Yeah. And then the other one is overly accommodating. Oh, you know what? Just give Mary what she wants and then she'll be off my back. And then you go into that, submission stage. Then we've talked before about submission and rebellion. Those are not choices. In submission, I'm giving up on my needs. In rebelling, I'm trying to fight for my needs. And the place we want to get to is connection. How do I come to a place of connection where I can openly talk about what's important to me and be willing to hear what's important to you? So let me stop here and see if there are any comments and questions, anything that's not as clear as you would like. And also, do you recognize yourself in some of these patterns?
I see myself when I'm into maybe a very close setup where I don't have a power, I may start like accommodating or avoiding. And when I'm into a family relationship where I know I can really share it out, I I guess I attack back. I don't know if it's contradictory or what, but this is that okay. Here at least I have that power to say whatever what's there, like very much alive inside me.
Right. And sometimes it's true that we can hurt or stimulate pain in people we love the most. Because you know me, you should know me. And why are you doing this? Or, that sort of thinking comes in. And you can take it because I know you're my friends. Anisha, let me connect with you. I think something is swirling around in your head, and I'm glad to see you back on the screen.
Thank you, Raj. As I heard these questions and I was looking at my patterns, I recognize that one strategy I never take is avoidance. So there might be over accommodation sometimes. So there might be anger sometimes. But I recognize that I somehow feel that even when I'm getting angry or when I'm over accommodating, there still seems to be some connection, some engagement. So avoidance just doesn't come to me. Sometimes I really wish I knew how to avoid, but my intense need for connection, and I'm such a sucker for intimacy that I have a need to engage. Yeah.
Yeah, so I think when we consciously choose to accommodate someone, that is different than I have to accommodate, I should accommodate, I must accommodate. When that energy comes in, I'm no longer at choice, right? I'm coming from obligation, fear of being hurt, fear of some withdrawal of some benefits. Yeah.
So I recognize post the NVC journey, Raj, I have a new should for myself, and it comes from a nice space, like from an inspiring space. I have to engage in the conflict. So sometimes there are shoulds that you select for yourself because there are values that you hold. So I recognize post NVC, my new should is engage, even if it's difficult. Engage, sit in the fire, have the conversation. Yeah.
Sometimes the conflicts are being used to manipulate or as a strategy.
Yeah, well, I think, yeah, and it could be used as a technique to get your way, particularly if you know that the person has either an avoidance or an accommodating pattern of behavior.
Yeah.
So Mandeep, you're asking a question, right? About is a certain what was the question? Is it compromising a win? I think compromising is when we look at win-lose, that duality, we don't want to get into that piece about that kind of win, who wins, who loses. The way we want to look at if it's a win is, I really wanted to do this for Mandeep. Even though it's going to take me extra time, I'm going to do it. That comes from a very different place than just give her what she wants, stop this going back and forth, just give her what she wants. Yeah. Sometimes we do make compromises, but we're making them because I'm choosing to make them, because I care about the person. And I know that what I give is coming back. It's like that emotional bank account. It's relationship. If I do this for you, you know that if next time I need it, you'll do it for me. Yeah.
Raj, why did you say that submission and rebellion are not, when I do this, I'm, kind of, it's not a choice.
Submission and rebellion, this is Marshall's language, and I can explain it a little bit more. Submission means Juliana wants this, just do it. Just submit. Don't express your own needs. Don't articulate your own needs. Be subservient. Just do what she wants, right? And then after a while, the mind just says, You never get your needs met. You're not getting anything. So then I'm going to go to rebellion about why is it always me that has to do this? So each time I'm not expressing my needs and I'm not inviting others to contribute to my needs. I'm constantly out there focusing on other people's needs. So therefore, it's not a choice. If I do this, this person will be happy and I won't have stress. If I rebel, then I might get my voice heard. Therefore, they're not choices. They're states that we find ourselves in. What we want to get to is connection. Can I have a conversation where we can understand each other's needs and have a mutuality of how we want to meet those needs? Juliana, I see you nodding, but I'm not sure if this is giving you some information to add to the question that you had.
I'm just trying to take it in, actually. Yeah. Thank you.
Anyone else? Any other comments before we move to the next slide? And it's so true that we do different things in different relationships. I know when my children were growing up and I worked a lot at the hospital, I would be overly accommodating and give them more than I would have reasonably as a parent given them, because I was making up for time when I wasn't with them. And so overly accommodating in order to think them to believe that I'm a loving parent, So there are different relationships in which we do avoid, attack, overly accommodate. Yeah. Okay. Let's go to the next slide, Yvonne, please.
I think, or are those all the slides that we had prepared for enemy images, Yvonne?
Wasn't there a breakout?
We didn't actually make a slide for the breakout room.
Okay.
But we could certainly send people to breakout rooms with a question.
Okay, so in the breakout room, we would like to explore the question about how what we're discussing about our conflict styles or conflict, and have a conversation about what awareness this brings for you. Yeah, how does this awareness help you see how you want to navigate conflict?
Let's just pick that. How does the...
Can you say the question again, please?
Yeah, Mary's going to type it in the chat. Yeah.
You say it again, Raj?
Okay, so being aware that we have different ways in which we respond or react to conflict, right? How does this information help you understand your conflict style, conflict management style? And then really come up with what would be different for you as you practice this. What would you do differently next time? Now that you're aware of it, that you're not expressing your own needs if you're overly accommodating. You're not expressing your own needs if you're avoiding. Attacking also may not get your needs met. So how can you shift to finding ways to get your needs met? By mapping your pattern. Mapping your pattern is acknowledging, in this relationship I do this, in this relationship I do this. That's called mapping your pattern. And how many groups? How many do we have? 16.
I have 4 groups.
Yeah, let's do 4 groups. And Juliana?
For 15 minutes.
Yeah, that's good.
Raj, when I keep everyone's needs on the table, it may not be possible for me to always meet the other person's need, So so this connection part, like how much, how do you do that balance?
Beautiful question, Juliana. This is a beautiful question that is asked very often. I cannot meet everybody's needs, and so the question is, we can hold everybody's needs with care, but we cannot agree to everyone's strategies. It's the strategies that we disagree over. It's not over the needs. If you say you have a huge need for creativity and innovation, and you propose a strategy or a solution, what I can do is, let me just shut the phone off. Okay. Yeah. If you say you have a need for creativity and innovation, and you're proposing a strategy, and we're not going to take your strategy, what I'd say, Juliana, I love the creativity you're offering, and it's a hugely innovative idea. Yeah, it's a super innovative idea, and let's hold it for the future. In this moment, we're not going to be able to include it in the proposal. So I have not taken your strategy, but I have acknowledged your need. See, when we think we have to meet people's needs, what we get confused with is that we have to meet, yeah. Yeah, my husband's going to answer it, yeah. Sorry, yeah, he'll get it and tell them I call back. Yeah, so I think that's the thing, is when we think we have to meet everybody's needs, right? And so it's important that we're not accepting the strategy. We're saying no to the strategy, but we're not saying no to the need. So it would help me if somebody recaps this about what's the difference in what am I saying? Yes, Anisha.
So what I heard you say, Raj, that when we are in conflict, we are not usually in conflict with the other person's needs, but we are in conflict because our strategies are not matching. And most of us during conflicts, because of our fear or whatever, we get so attached to our strategies that we perceive rejection from the other person for our needs. And we also end up communicating rejection to the other person's needs, whereas what we are uncomfortable with is the chosen strategy by them.
I couldn't have explained it better myself. Absolutely. Because you see that as soon as you hear a no, or no, we're not able to include it, it's like they're rejecting me. That whole thing about hearing no without triggering rejection. By saying they're not saying no to my strategy. They're not saying no to me as a person. They're not rejecting Raj. They're rejecting Raj's proposal. Or even rejection is not the word, is this is not the time for this proposal. Yeah. Mandeep, you had also a question?
Yeah, so I'm little not confused. Sometimes I feel that there are needs in conflict, especially in the moment, maybe when I'm working on a project, and I could say we should bring more and more creativity into this project, and other person is saying no, let's stick to what we have for the simplicity, whatever it is. So I'm unable to see that, okay, where is the strategy? Because we haven't really reached to strategy as of now, but we are still talking about that, okay, we need creativity, and one person is saying no, we need I don't know, like simplicity, or I don't know what could be the word, but like these are two contradictory things in the moment happening.
Right.
So, and I'm thinking that, okay, is it strategy or is it really needs getting into the way?
Well, I think there could be both, in the sense is that both needs are important. Creativity is important, and having a plan and sticking to the plan, being focused, is also an important need for some people. They don't want to be scattered over how many. The key thing there is to empathize with the person who says, I want creativity, and empathize with the person who wants to stay focused and keep it simple. It's not either or. When we get caught up in the duality about either we're creative or we are keeping it simple and getting it done, the person who's saying keep it simple is probably saying keep it simple, will be able to get it done. The person who's I can send you some information on different communication styles. The idea oriented people The idea-oriented people will always look for innovation. Their primary focus is innovation. And whereas the action-oriented people are, what are the tasks, who's doing them, by when, and get it done. Right? So how to empathize with each person without saying one is better than the other. And let them come up with solutions and strategies on how everybody's needs can be met. Maybe not their strategies, but their needs can be met. Yeah.
Just one question here. That at times what happens is that when people say that let it be kept simple,
Yeah.
the underlying need for them is to maintain the status quo.
Yes.
So they are resistance to change. So if we find that way, then perhaps we have to nudge them to accept a viewpoint that the change is necessary here and we cannot remain in a status quo position.
Right. So a good way would be is that if we make changes, I'm wondering, what are you fearing we will lose? Connect.
Yeah.
Yeah, connect with the fear that they, as you said, they want to keep the status quo. Maybe they don't want to change anything because they're not sure how it'll turn out. So empathize with whatever is in the way, basically, of building that connection. Yeah, good point.
Okay.
Because sometimes I know that we've been around meeting room tables where somebody says, oh, it's going to be way too much work. Let's not change anything. Let's keep it as it is. It's so much easier.
This often
Yeah.
happens in a corporate scenario.
Absolutely.
And it is perceived that, especially when we say, as in a hierarchical situation or in a team situation where you have a veto power, sort of. When you say that this is a good strategy, let us park it for another time. But at the moment we use the but, it is, whatever we have said earlier is sort of negated. And the person perceives it as, okay, the person has just listened to me. No change is going to be made, especially if the previous track record has been, that the person has not been listened to. And finally, he gets demotivated in a team. Uh, this could happen, especially when the boss is not very inclusive or resistant to change, as Sudhir rightly pointed out. It's a very common scenario.
Absolutely. Kanchan, you're bringing up the worldview of how leaders hold power,
Yeah.
right? Some leaders hold power. Their worldview is, if I give you power, I'll have less power.
True.
Right? That if you come from that worldview, that if I give you power, my power goes down, my power
Yes.
gets reduced. So no, I'm not going to reduce my power. If we could shift that paradigm to, if I share my power with you, your power goes up and my power goes up, and our capacity to do things increases.
Yes.
That's what
And
non-violent communication invites us to do, is that everyone's unique and they have something to offer.
And that's
and
hard to
here
achieve. And that's hard to achieve because very often leaders do not like to share credit even.
That's
It's a very commonplace. Yeah.
beautiful points, I think. And that's the paradigm shift. That's the shift in culture and norms we want to create, is that, Raj, when you give me power, it doesn't mean your power decreases. How can we have those conversations about it? Increases our power when we give each other power, power to, power with, not power over. That's the NVC model, is power to, power with, not power over or power under. Sudhir?
Yeah, so I was just in whatever Kanchan was telling, I was just wondering that at times what happens that when a person is holding a high position in an organization and when the conflict arises within the family, then he or she tries to impose the similar strategy which he is using in office to resolve a conflict in the family, and the whole issue starts in a different way. The whole thing goes in a different way.
Yeah, I
because
think
the power equations change there.
yeah, I think it's
You need more accommodation than using your veto power.
yeah. So there, I think it's really important that the leaders, or when we are working with leaders, is that to acknowledge that they are taking on the responsibility of leaders. It's a huge responsibility. And at the same time, how do we create a culture of shared responsibility, power with, power to, rather than power over? These are very difficult dynamics to start to shift.
Yeah.
And they're propagated in organizations. One boss passes it on to others. And people who even disliked it when they were subordinate will do it when they get into the positional power. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Thank you.
Raj, when you said power two, did you say T-O-O? What? And just say a little on that power two bit, please. Power two.
Two means T-O, power two.
True.
It's power two, like I give power to you, that kind of two.
To you, okay.
And power,
right, thank you.
Power to, power with, not power over or power under.
Thank you so much.
Either, okay. Yeah. Power is when people say, oh, he's very controlling, or he's always wants power. Usually what they're usually saying is there's no room for creativity or innovation. You have to do it his or her way. That's really what they're saying. Yeah. So take an opportunity to be with your partners for, small group partners for about 15 minutes. I'm sorry, I'll have to leave the call at 7:30 my time, which is in about 15 minutes, and I will return in an hour. And then I know Mary has something that she will do with you. But I'll be in the small group with whichever group I'm with, but I'll need to jump off the call in 15. Okay, Mary or Yvonne, someone doing groups? Yeah, thank you, Yvonne.
Yeah. And so maybe each group, somebody from each group could share sort of what did you come to and from? And Java, do you want to share? Would you mind starting from our group? Because I think you had that. This is some of this ideas coming from what you had said just as we were closing.
Okay. Okay, I'll talk about the two nuggets that I noted. One is that can I linger in cherishing each other's need and let go our strategies? So that word linger needs to be bold and highlighted. Can I just stay with cherishing each other's need? That's what was one nugget that I picked up and noted. Can I linger in cherishing each other's need and let go our strategies? The second big nugget was to talk to when we are in conflict, to ask the other person, what is really important to you that I am not hearing? Instead of pressing with a NVC language, what's your need, which the other person doesn't get because they are not into NVC at all. Street giraffe language that I picked up was, what is very, very important to you that I'm not grasping or hearing or understanding? That was the second nugget for me. Thank you.
Mm-hmm. Thank you, Java.
I'm just wondering if Mandeep has anything to add to that.
All covered by Java. It was a beautiful, beautiful reflections that we had.
Would anybody else like to share?
I can share from our group, Kanchan, if Kanchan or Shalaka want to.
Mm-hmm.
I think for us, we went something that maybe tied us all together was the acceptance that we are in constant learning and shifting depending on context, and that each context demands a slightly different approach, depending on the stakes, depending on who is pressing the buttons, if it's family versus work, because each, I think, trigger in us a different response. So while for me, for example, the family part came later, and in the work part, I was already in practicing so much of what we're talking about. The family part, I had to really go from having it in my mind to having it in my body in order to respond in a way that wasn't just reactionary. And something I was left with, and I didn't get a chance to say it there, which I'm kind of thinking about, is I think that we have to kind of accept that our needs are also shifting, and that sometimes we have to prioritize a certain need. And how do we come to terms with the fact that sometimes I have to prioritize my need for safety versus my prioritize my need for justice? For me, for example, that's a big one. When do I feel like I do have to accommodate because it puts my life at risk if I don't, or that I do have to, basically walk away? And when do I make the choice to then engage, even if I feel like there is a risk involved? So for me, that's something, that I have to come to terms with and be able to live with when I make that choice, depending on what the need is.
Great, thanks, Anahita. It feels complicated on some layers, right? And then it becomes clear.
In context of what you're saying, Anahita, my response will to whatever the stimulus is will depend on me, on who the other person is, and on the situation. So just that's something that I also realized. Yeah, thank you.
Role that you're playing as well.
Yeah.
What role are you in? What
I beg your
role
pardon?
are you? What role are you in? It depends on that.
Also that, what role I am in.
And how high the stakes are.
Yeah.
How high the stakes are.
Yeah, sure. The situation. Yeah, that's. Thank you.
Anyone else like to share any nuggets from their conversations?
Yeah, I would like to share when we discussed in our group about realizations of the different ways of how each of us handle conflict. So we shared that, and shared about being aware of what style of conflict management one is in, whether it's avoiding, accommodating, etc. And to constantly hear the needs behind the strategies, to go beyond what one is hearing and focus on the needs. I also discussed about shifting perspectives by questioning, or using Socratic dialogue or the third way, another yours, another mine, maybe some neutral way of how to look at it. Ivan shared that. And most importantly, caring for self-empathy in that situation, and also empathy for the other person, with focus on fulfilling each other's needs, and that opens up the way. Thank you.
Thank you, Jenna.
Just one thing, Mary, I really, this personally kind of, made things so easy for me, is when I discovered, when I take the focus onto my needs, and then I discover that what I'm longing for is also what the other person is longing for. So we have the same longings, really. And that itself is so kind of connecting. And the enemy image kind of dissolves just with the realization that we have this different strategy, but the needs are same, they're same. So, it's just that everyone is doing the best they know how to, I guess. Yeah. Thank you.
That's beautiful.
In our group, very much quite like what the other groups had discussed, as in we learn in every situation, and then there is a pause. We didn't call it what was it? avoidance. We didn't call it avoidance. We thought it was a pause where there's a conflict. And then because of the need for peace, we pause and then we revisit the situation with the other person. And then, yes, that what Juliana said, we were in the same group. So you're in your context. What was it, Juliana? What exactly that there is a space and then we can choose our response, you said?
Then,
Unmute, Juliana, please unmute. Juliana, please unmute.
Like Nasreen, between what we discussed was between stimulus and response, there is a space. And in that space, I have a chance to connect with to pause, to connect with myself, and to see what is it that, what are my needs, what am I longing for? And after I connect with that, try to understand what might be the other needs that the person is longing for. And out of that wisdom, in that pause, I choose what is my most important need now that I long for myself, and then I choose my action, my response to the situation. Yeah, thank you. Is that it's Nazreen that you were trying to say? Yeah.
Yes, thank you.
Yeah.
Any Reena or Rekha, did I miss anything?
I think we connected with the energy of life, whether it's life-serving or life-alienating. So a reminder of coming from a sense or ego in that pause, making that shift. And also seeing that we may feel that, okay, right now, let me prioritize peace or cooperation, and maybe I'll make a request later to, to find some clarity or some cooperation from the other person. I mean, from the other person is a strategy again, in realizing that, that time may not come. So it's tricky to constantly keep on shifting from me and mine to yours to ours and beyond that. So it's a flow of life, and some needs. I think when we hold the needs tightly, then we can find the strategies to meet those needs from other spaces. That's another thing that we talked about, that hold the strategy lightly and needs tightly.
thanks, Reena. They're all powerful. They're all powerful bits and pieces. I think the last one I want to offer before we move on is a very personal anchor. And my anchor is a little Raj, and she sits right on my shoulder. And so when I have some conflict, sometimes I'm like, Raj, what would you do? What would you say? And I call in my Raj. So I want to offer that to you all too, that you could have it's great. It's free. It's just a little Raj. You just put her right on your shoulder. Nobody needs to see her. She's invisible.
That's wonderful, Mary. I think after Raj gets back to the call, we need to ask her permission.
I know. You know, it would be a funny joke next week. Maybe we could send you a picture of Raj, and at some point we could all pull it out. If you could print it, we could all pull it out and put it on our shoulders.
Yeah, that would be a surprise to her.
That would be funny. Yeah. I don't know if that's possible for you all to print something out, but that would be kind of funny and sweet. Yeah, she's been quite a mentor. And then not only Raj, like with everyone here, I know that everyone's voices will resonate through me. So Juliana, just the way you were now explaining the stimulus and the pause and the response, that your voice speaking that, and I might have heard it before, I might have read it before, but having your voice say that to me sinks in a different way. So that's part, yeah. So it's part of the power of this group. And we have these videos, which we can go back and listen to, but we can have a little one of each of us sharing our wisdom and supporting each other. Yeah. So, yeah. And Diana, thank you for sharing in the chat about the goal of conflict situations, transforming it into fulfilling each other's needs. Yeah, absolutely.
I learned this wisdom from you all. You may be Mary for that, but it's really sunk into my heart, and I've used it. Like, you know, I've been embodying it, integrating it. It's integrating and embodying in my body and soul.
Oh, that's beautiful. That's so beautiful. Well, we would like to shift gears a little bit and share with you 3 activities that we do that are a little different than the way we've been working with our learning here for the most part. And Yvonne, I still feel like maybe you could share from there because my internet has been a little unstable. Would that be okay for you?
That is okay. Let me start sharing now.
And Yvonne, do you have a preference? Do you want to explain one of them?
Would you like to start here in this slide?
Well, I think I'd like to start with activities and then we can come back to that slide, hopefully, if that's all right.
So maybe you can start with this.
Okay. So this is an activity that's super simple, and you're all in different contexts, whether it's personal, educational, or in the sort of a nonprofit or a business context. You could decide to, this is just a simple wheel. It's online, it's free. And what we're going to do is we're going to model this once and then actually invite you to breakout rooms and have you practice it or try it. So it's I call it a storytelling wheel for remembering and considering our needs. And we're going to click on the wheel and open up the page, and we'll send you the link for this page. I'm going to spin the wheel and read the need, and then just think of a moment in your life when that need was met. It sounds like a simple task, but it's brought up so many interesting conversations and really helped us practice noticing when our needs are met. And if you feel comfortable briefly sharing it, and then we spin the wheel again. So Yvonne, if you could also open up the wheel, that would be great.
Mary, there's a request for a short break.
Oh gosh,
After explaining this, maybe could we take a break?
Oh, no, absolutely. Sorry, I didn't even have break mine on. Thank you, Diana. That's fantastic. Why don't we do this after the break? I think that's better.
Would you like to stop now?
Okay. Yeah, I think we can stop now and we'll do this after the break. Yeah.
So for 5 minutes?
Yes, absolutely. And to give you some positive energy, by 5 minutes, 7 minutes, Kanchan asked me about my friend, and I just want to quickly share for those of you where I am right now. Last Saturday, they had a baby. So this is Chad and Laura and baby Zoe.
Congratulations.
So thank you. And these were pictures that were taken the day after she was born.
Lovely, lovely. God bless.
I'm still at their house right now. I'm here giving massages and cooking and cleaning and just being.
Beautiful. It's beautiful.
So, thank you so much for asking. Thank you. Thank you for that beautiful heart, Reka. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you for sharing.
Thank you. Yeah, it's exciting. Okay, let's take a 5, 6, 7 minute break. I'm not sure, whatever you need.
7 minutes. Okay.
7 minutes sounds good. And Diana, thank you so much for remembering. I'm all about getting things done, staying in that. So I appreciate that immensely. 7 minutes. Yeah. So it's So let's see. I'm not sure if you shared the sound, Yvonne. Can you?
I can try and see the sound is share.
On the wheel? I hear the sound.
Do you hear the sound?
Yeah. Okay, so this is what happens. We spin the wheel, we hear the music, and then, oh, wait, don't take it away. Yvonne, don't take it away, just leave it up. Well, I mean, it's too late now, leave it as it is, but in the future, we'll just
Okay.
leave it up for the next one.
Okay.
Just so we can see it easier. So this is the need for health. So what I'd love to invite you all to do is think a little bit about, when is the last time you felt like your need for health was met or partially met? And if there's a short story that you'd like to share, thinking about your own experience with health. And that's maybe a sensitive topic now.
Are we just doing this here? Are we going into breakout room to do this?
We're going to go into breakout rooms and do it just for a few minutes. I just thought I'd do one sample together. Thanks, Anahita. I appreciate that. But I'd love to hear a couple, maybe just one story. Great.
Health is something I deal with on a lack of it on a daily basis, unfortunately. Last night, I have a chronic back issue, and it often leads to many other ailments, including headaches and nausea and a lot of other things. And last night I felt like my need was met by my partner, who just let me be and waited and didn't ask me for anything, and saw that I needed time to just be in various positions until I felt like I wasn't going to throw up, and just stood by and waited and was on standby to catch me through the whole evening in case I needed anything.
Oh, Anahita, that's beautiful. That's beautiful. Thank you so much. What a beautiful. And so often with health, I think, at least for me, the urge to try and fix and ease and help somebody feel better, it's so strong. It's like, and sometimes, and that just drives me nuts and others nuts as well. So it's a beautiful example. So, all right, so we'll go to breakout rooms. There's a link to the wheel there. Everybody should have a sharing power. So hopefully you'll be able to, somebody in your group share. We'll do this just for maybe 10 minutes, I think, or less. And you'll decide what you, if for some reason we've done enough and you want to shift topics, that's okay too. So.
Yes.
I love the activity, Mary. And I thought it would be a good activity to use when we are trying to get the conversation flowing, or trying to get people connected, or to know each other beyond their immediate context of maybe work or something else. So I think it has multiple possibilities that we can explore.
Great, yeah.
It's a great build-up activity, I think, and you can take it further into something more deep and more more connecting.
Absolutely. Thanks, Shalaka. And what if you don't want to use the internet and a wheel? What else could you use? How else might you change it?
You could use the cards. Sorry. You could do cards upside down and shuffle and pick one, maybe.
Yeah.
Or you could, yeah.
Or you can write down the needs and then tick it.
I could have my list of needs on a piece of paper. Let's say I'm working virtually, And I could just move my finger down and somebody could say, stop. And then that would stop, and then, you know, I could make my own, or I can make my own wheel and move it around as well. Just different techniques for being random on some level. Yeah. Any other questions or comments about that particular activity? It's really simple, but it can bring up very profound stories. And it can be a really nice way to just practice focusing on needs.
So, if I may, I had in my group Juliana and Rekha.
Mhm.
So, Rekha shared a very exceptional story. I think, how is it okay to share the essence? Okay, how she has just taken a decision to homeschool her grade 6 child, and how she is living the freedom of her child in spite of all the apprehensions and fear, and how the child's energy and the free flow, and how he's blooming, and how his energy is getting transferred minute to minute in the last couple of days to Rekha, that I thought was a very powerful story of freedom. And the other nugget that I got was, because I was feeling very constrained in finding a story of true freedom, because I think my connotation about freedom was somewhat, warped. And Juliana brought a very important perspective to freedom, that freedom always comes with responsibility. The fact that I have the freedom to choose cannot be free from responsibilities and restraint. So that calmed me down. And I said, okay, no need for self-pity because you can't find a story, Jaba. It is all right because freedom always comes with responsibility. So that gave me a very good opening. Thank you, Juliana. Thank you, Rekha. And I'm complete.
Thank you, Java. Yeah. It's interesting too, what you're saying about our connotations of like, what does it really mean to me? And is it really being met? And taking some time to really, I'm going to say the word again, linger in that gives me, at least for myself, this greater spaciousness. And helps me actually linger more in other people's needs. Once I can understand and really see when my needs are met, it helps me be more present to other people's needs as well. At least that's been my experience. So, yeah, right. Yeah. Great. Well, Yvonne, do you want to share the next activity? It's a activity that we designed for working with children, but I think it also works with playful adults. And I think we all do have a little bit of playfulness in us. So
yeah, maybe I can just show it because I'm looking at the time and would like to do the apples and apples.
Okay.
Yeah, I enjoy doing this activity. It's good for children and all ages, also youth and adults, because it's about playing games, a component of play with the feelings and needs. Because one thing is just to have a look at the list of feelings and needs, and then practicing with stories and games like this. So the idea is here we pick a photo and then we guess the feelings and needs. What are some of the feelings and needs they might be experiencing at this moment? Maybe we can practice. We can pick one and say, what do you think this animal is feeling and needing? Anyone would like to try? You can.
The wrapped up pug on the left. I think they have a need for warmth both literal and metaphorical, and companionship.
Mm. Yeah. Thank you, Narita.
The center one, the horse, is very jubilant and excited.
Mm. Yeah, why do you think he's excited?
Yeah, because I see a big expression and I'm imagining he's making a sound. And there is a lot of
Yeah, it's beautiful body language, right?
Need for sharing, I suppose.
Need for sharing, yeah. Okay, maybe there's a good story behind, yeah. So I'd like to share. So I'm gonna move on to the next game. I'm gonna go to the next one. So
by
here
the way,
it's
all of
just a
these
little bit.
images come from, they're free, and they come from something called Unsplash, which we'll send to you. Sorry, Mike.
Yeah. So this is kind of a guessing game, and then it's getting ready for our last game. So to describe what the animal is feeling and saying, this animal might be, we just guess, might feeling this because their need for is being met or not being met. So we're trying to use this as structure.
So this animal might be feeling ease because their need for companionship is being met.
Hmm.
Third photo, panda. I don't know if it's panda. This one.
Is that the dog, Mary, with the stuffed animal?
Yeah, exactly.
So one reads the sentence and another participant guesses what this animal is being described. So there, would you like to?
Sorry.
Mary, can we move on to the next one?
Yeah, please do.
This one.
Okay. So this is a game that we want to share with you all that we're really excited about. We've been playing this in person for years, and it's a variation of this game called Apples to Apples. Have any of you all played Apples to Apples? Okay, so you'll get this pretty. I'm going to explain it, and then we're going to show you. We're going to try to do one example, and we'll see how we go for that. But we were excited because we created a version of this online using something called Jamboard. How many of you have used Jamboard? Okay, so you'll see it's a very low tech. Even though it might look high tech, it's really like a cut and paste version of something that we did. So we have setup instructions and then the actual instructions. I think I'm going to ask you, Yvonne, to just open up the board and I'll explain it from there.
Okay.
Okay. So for the board, this is the playing board. It's a jam board. And in order to set up, we need to have 4 people who are willing to play. And I'm wondering if any of you would like to just try it out with us this morning.
I'd like to.
Okay. So Yvonne, can you put Mandeep's in one of the names?
I'd like to do it.
All right. And Anisha in another name?
I would like to do it.
Oh, and actually, I think I can help out with this piece. Yvonne, from where I am. Let me see.
Anisha. And who else?
Kanchan.
Kanchan. Okay, I'll put Kanchan. I'll do name 3 as Kanchan.
Okay.
And I think I'd like to play so I can make some examples. Is that all right?
Yeah, that's all right.
4, just in case. Okay.
Just want to
All right.
Rekha's
So-
name. Yeah. Rekha is also in. Yvonne,
So
did
we
you
only
get-
need 4 people, and Yvonne, Raj, I'd like to play so that I can give some examples, if that's all right.
Oh, I see. So
We'll
we
have-
only-
Sure, Mary.
This is just an example, but I'm not sure how much time we'll have to go through more than just the example. But if we do, absolutely, everyone can play. So, and actually we can send you the link to the Jamboard. So if Anisha, Kanchan, and Mandeep, if you want to join us and actually do your own moving of things, you can. There's the link. If you don't want to, we'll move it around for sure. So what's going to happen first we have to set up, and everybody needs to pick 3 feelings cards and 3 needs cards and put them in their hand. So Yvonne, I'm going to ask you to, and we don't touch the situations yet. So I'm going to ask you to help me, Yvonne, pick cards for everyone. They're in the top envelopes, and we'll show you. There's 1 feeling for Mandeep, 2 feelings for Mandeep, 3 feelings.
You say 3,
3
right?
feelings and 3 needs. So everybody gets 3 feelings and 3 needs in their hand. Right.
I'm okay. I tried to go to the link. I was not supposed to do that.
Oh, let me see. Thanks for that. I can see if I might not have opened up the power to share. No, I didn't. Let me quickly open that up. Okay, the powers have been updated. Right.
So now do we go to the link or do we continue to play? I mean, how does it work?
Well, hold on a second. We're still setting up.
Okay.
And as soon as we get set up, as soon as everybody has 3 feelings and 3 needs in their hand, then I'll explain the next step. Okay. Great. Great. Okay. So now this is what happens. In one turn, one person is the judge, and they don't actually play. They are just the judge. The other 3 are the players for that round. And what you'll be doing is you will be responding to play. You'll be responding to a situation, and you'll be making a guess. And the judge at the end of the round decides which guess is the best guess, is the most useful guess. And so we're going to do an example round here. I'll show you what we mean. And let's see. Anisha, I'm going to invite you to be the judge. All right. And I'm going to put the judge's gavel in your hand. Okay. And so Anisha, you would be you'll be pulling a situation card from the situation envelope. And you'll put it in the center circle. All right. So Anisha, will you read the situation out loud?
I had a car accident. I'm fine, but my car is going to be expensive to repair.
Okay, so now Kanchan, Mary, and Mandeep, we choose 1 feeling and 1 need that we guess is either being met or not met. And we have to tell a little story about it. So we get creative here. Right? It's not about truth. It could be about truth. It could be something that's serious, but it also could be a creative story. And so we don't tell the story yet. We just choose. And you put the feeling and the need, and you pull 1 feeling and 1 need into the circle, onto the playing board. And after everything is there, then we will tell our stories of why we chose that feeling and need. And then Anisha will choose which one she liked the best. And it could be funny, it could be true, it could be astounding or surprising. So I picked joyful and food. Kanchan,
Do
can
we
you
have
pick?
to choose? Eh, do we have to choose feelings and needs only from our board?
Exactly, only from your hand. And then you can tell us which one you want to choose and I'll move it in, or Yvonne can move it in. I see 2 people are in there too. So.
Be connected with this incident, right? I had a car accident and the car is going to be expensive to repair. So the feeling and need should be connecting to this.
So yeah, you have to, so Kanchan, you have to choose from your hand one feeling and one need.
Let us know which one. Great.
I couldn't hear clearly either. Kanchan, would you like to tell me about one of the feelings and one of the needs that you'd like to choose?
I would like to choose. We have to go to the Jamboard to connect the actual link. Or?
You've got nervous, proud, and furious for feelings, and inspiration, understanding, and compassion for needs.
Nervous and understanding.
Could you choose one? I can't hear. Could somebody else can hear and help out? That would be great.
Nervous and understanding.
Okay, nervous and understanding. Thanks so much. Yeah, I hear you better now. Okay, so now we tell our stories to Anisha. And Anisha, you get to choose which one wins. All right. Who would like to go first? And what you're gonna say is, are you feeling blank because of blank, because your need for blank or blank was met, and why? You're gonna tell a little bit of the story. And actually, why don't I model first? Anisha, so I see you had a car accident and I'm so glad you're fine. And I see that the car is going to be expensive to repair. And I'm wondering actually if you are feeling joyful because right next to that repair shop is the most amazing restaurant. And you know that every time you have to go check on your car being repaired, you're going to eat a great meal. So are you feeling joyful because of that? That's my story, my question. Kansha or Mandeep, would one of you like to go?
Yeah. I'm thinking, Alicia, if you're feeling upset, because although you're fine, but your the light of your car is broken and you're really wanting to negotiate with the person whom you have met accident with, then okay, he should pay something as a compensation. And you really need trust from him that, okay, you are not asking for too much, but whatever is paid, even you are feeling fine, but you are going to really spend some money to get your car repaired. That, okay, please trust me. I'm not asking you so much, but you should trust me.
Thanks, Mandeep. Kanchan?
Yes, Anisha, I understand what you're going through at this moment, and I appreciate that you are feeling a little nervous as the accident happened clearly because of the other driver was at fault and he took a wrong turn. He skipped a signal and he took a wrong turn, and that's how this has happened. That's what we spoke on the phone when we last spoke on, talked about this. And I understand you're feeling a little nervous because you don't know whether the insurance company is going to clear your claim for the repairs, because it's going to be an expensive repair, and I fully understand. I can help you to maybe put up the case to the insurance company, speak to someone I know in the company. So, I'm sure if we do it right, if you present the case right, you will have your both your needs met. You will not be nervous, and your car will be paid for by the company.
Thanks, Kanchan. Thanks, Kanchan. So Anisha, which one did you like
Which one was good for you?
Can I pick up two?
No, because you're the one who had you're the judge. So you have to decide from those three. And then next round, you'll be able to pick up.
I guess I'll go with Kanchan.
Okay, great. So then Kanchan gets a point. Yvonne, can you put the 1 point next to her name? And then we're going to move the used cards go into the envelopes below. And our round is finished. Hold on 1 second. Let me move the cards in. So we put them into our envelopes. The feelings and needs. Great. And everybody needs one more. The people that used, the people that played need to choose one more feeling and need. You always want 3 feelings and 3 needs in your hand. Okay. So now, and then now we move to, now that judge is going to change to Kanchan. And I also want to invite, does somebody else want to take my place? Anybody else like to step in and play?
I would like to go, Mary.
Okay, I didn't know who heard that. Reka. Okay, I'll put you in my place.
Yeah.
And somebody can draw. Yvonne, you want to help Kanchan draw the situation? All right, Kanchan, you want to read your situation out loud?
My sister invited me to a family party for my parents.
Great. So now we have Anisha, Mandeep, and Reka. Choose one feeling and one need. And put them around our circle.
Okay. Feeling and need, is it, I have a question.
Mm-hmm.
The feeling and need, it is supposed to be my sister's feeling and need, right?
No, it's about Kanchan. So Kanchan would be saying, Kanchan's sister invited Kanchan to go to a family party for her parents. And what you're going to be doing is you're going to be asking her, are you feeling such and such? Are you feeling happy because your need for celebration is going to be met? Yeah, but you have to choose from your hand. So it could be met. And then tell a little story. Are you feeling blank because your need for blank is either met or not met? Plus the story. Yeah.
Okay.
And if you want us to move something in, let us know, Mandeep and Anisha and Reka.
Mary, I want you to put lonely and kindness.
Okay. And Reka, let me know if you want me to move any of yours. When Reka.
Actually,
touched
Mary,
and
can I
choice.
change? Sorry. Can I change it, Mary? I now want to put curious and ease instead of lonely and kindness. My story has changed.
Of course. Yvonne, can you help out? My internet's really low. And can you help Reka move some in? Please step in. Reka, have you chosen?
Yeah, touched and choice.
You say touched?
Yeah.
I got him.
Okay. Okay.
Okay, who would like to share their story first for Kanchan? Kanchan, you'll be choosing. You're our judge.
I can go ahead.
Okay.
Kanchan, your sister has invited you to a family party with her parents, and you're feeling confused to go or not because you have very important NVC training coming on, which you have enrolled for from last 1 year, and it's happening on the same date. So you are confused that, okay, if you go there, your need of learning may not get met. So you're into that confused state of mind, that what to choose over your learning.
Thanks, Mandeep. And Anisha?
Yeah. So there's been a pattern of conflict whenever there are family gatherings. So when your sister invited you for the family party, are you feeling curious about how this get together or party would turn up? And are you really longing for ease this time?
Thank you. And Rekha?
Yeah. Kanchan, since your sister invited you for the family party and she has already arranged the party for your parents, do you feel touched? And since it's an invitation, you have a choice to choose to attend or not. So your sister giving you that space to choose, is it giving are you being touched by it?
Thanks, Rekha. Kanchan, which one? Which one is the winner?
I would choose Rekha.
And why? Tell us why.
Family gatherings are family get-togethers are very precious to me, and there are very few occasions when all of us get together and share happy times. So I'm very touched that my sister arranged this for us and got us all together, and she made a choice to invite me into it. I feel included. I mean, when we are together, it's my biggest, it's my entire weekly high. So I'll go with Rekha.
Oh, great. Thanks, Kanchan. So this is an example of this game, Apples to Apples. And we only have about 12 minutes left. So I just wanted to share it with you. It's a board that we've made that can be copied. It can take some time to go through it, right? Like you're just seeing it tonight and getting it set up. And but I find this to be a chance to be both practicing and also be creative and fun. I'm curious what you all think. How was your experience of this Apples to Apples version of NVC? And goodbye, Anisha.
Why do they call it apples to apples, Mary?
Bye,
Why?
Anisha. Thank you. Thank you, Anisha.
Why apples to apples?
Apples to Apples is a game that was invented many years ago, and I don't know why they chose it. But this is not Apples to Apples. This is an NVC version of Apples to Apples that we created, but the whole process is just like Apples to Apples.
All right. Thank you.
No. Ivan, if you could go back to the slides and we could show them Apples to Apples, that'd be great.
Thank you, Mary, for showing that. This is a super fun game which we have shared.
Yeah. So you can find this game Apples to Apples online, but it's different topic. It's not NVC, but it's a guessing game. So we turned the structure of Apples to Apples with the content of NVC. Yeah. Does that make sense, Juliana?
Yeah, it's beautiful. It's beautiful. And it also reminded me how if an incident happens, okay, in the middle of the road, and people are in different corners and of that road. Each one will see a different view of that accident. So they can, each one will be seeing the truth, but from different perspectives. That's what reminded me of actually.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. Great.
Beautiful.
And that's another skill. That's a skill to be able to see things from different perspectives, right? That this kind of practicing in this kind of game, when it's not really a real life situation, it's an imagined situation and we're playing with it, can help people develop that skill so that when a real life situation happens, we're better at seeing it, doing it.
Yeah. Mary, if I may add something.
Yeah, of course, please.
I was again, wondering how to use this, game and what purpose would it serve. And I'm also curious to know how you have or Ivan has applied it in your work. But I was just thinking that this might be a good activity to do if let's say in an organization there are some difficult situations that they want to deal with, and it could either be in the near future or it could be something that they're currently dealing with, and this could be a safe way to actually put those situations and invite people different perspectives from people about how they are looking at this situation. So I think that was one of the things that came to my mind. But I would be really curious to know how you or anybody else thinks this can be applied.
I love that you answered your own question, Shalaka.
Any other? I would be happy to.
Jama.
Go ahead. Please
go ahead,
Mary.
Jama. No, I was just going to say, we developed this game in a face-to-face version. The first year that you came to Costa Rica, Raj, so how many years ago was that? Forever, long time ago, 45,000 years ago. And we use it as we're teaching NVC as a way of really taking the ideas that we talk about, but putting them into a practice in a way that is perhaps a little bit lighthearted, but that's serious practice, and it is both brain work and heart work. So if we had the time, I would probably maybe given you probably half an hour, 45 minutes to play it and see what comes up for you. You could also do a little little activity where you have them practice empathy, reflect on practicing empathy, play this game for a while, and try doing empathy again and see what impact playing a game where you're practicing empathy has on their ability to do empathy for in a real situation, or to live empathy.
Yeah, that's a very interesting approach to practice empathy.
I think
Java, what?
Yeah, so difficult conversation, we often have to face difficult conversations or conflict. And this is a beautiful way of demonstrating how there are different stories that are in people's mind. One of the tendencies in a conflict or a difficult conversation is, I am right, I know it. And that often blocks. And it's a beautiful, natural way of demonstrating how the same situation, because of our own lived experiences, we interpret differently, and there are multiple rights, and there is not one right. So that's what I found very powerful in this game. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you, Java.
Yeah, absolutely, Jabba, because our viewpoint comes from our vantage point, which means how do I see this situation? And I see this situation based on my past experiences, conditioning that I've had. I'm going to see different values and needs in that situation. And everybody's needs and values are important. It's another way to say, what's important to us right now? Can we put that on the table? Well, without saying who's right, who's wrong, who has the power, who doesn't.
Well, it's 5 of 10 here in Costa Rica. And it's about time to wrap up. So I'm wondering if maybe we can do a closeout circle. And before we do that, we want to invite you all for next week for our closing session. There's 2 things we'd like to ask of you. One is, would you be willing to bring some kind of activity or plan or ways that you would, oh, thanks, Yvonne. Yeah. An example of how you've applied NVC on a personal or professional level. And we'll have a circle sharing that. And then we'll also be asking you to do some reflection on what you've gained from this experience in these 10 sessions with us.
I just wanted to mention something, Mary.
Yeah.
I think we've posted the enemy images document. It's a 2-page document, which is on enemy and on how to resolve conflict. So please look at that, and then maybe we can take questions as well next time. And the way the enemy images, Marshall used enemy images as, when I see the other person as an opponent, when I see them that they are opposing my strategy, they don't want to agree with my strategy, and I see the other person as an opponent, they may not necessarily be an enemy. Enemy is, you're blocking my progress when I see the other person that way. Because some people say, I don't think that person is my enemy, but I know they, there's something there because I see them in opposition. I see them as they don't like what I like. Yeah. So have a look at that, and it might help you with how you see, what lens you see the conflict through. It's the lens we see the conflict through is what's important. And of course, that's based on our lived experiences and past experiences. So that was the last part I wanted to share about the conflict piece that I wanted to offer.
Thanks, Raj.
Back to you and Yvonne, Mary.
That's all right. No, thank you, Raj. Mandeep.
I just have wanted to check, Mary, because these games were super great. Do you have something or any kind of a resource where we can get the situation cards as well that could be used? Or we have to make up, or we have already something, because sometimes creating that could be difficult. Like, do we have something like that?
Mandeep, we created that board ourselves. Yvonne and I did that together. We designed it and created it, and we are happy to give it to you. All you have to do is make your own copy of it. And then you can make your own, let me see if I'll share screen here from me. I think. So you can make, we'll go to another one that's, if I want to make some new situation cards, I click on the sticky notes and I just type in. I write my new situation and I save it. And then my new situation, I ate 3 cups of ice cream, can go in my situation envelope. And then I click on the envelope, and then there's an order command. I say bring to front, and then my envelope's in the front again. It's really easy. The feelings and need cards Yvonne made in a different program, and he made little photos and brought them in. The background we made on Canva, and then we just imported it. But if you would like, you can make a copy of this. You could go up to the top here, and there's more actions, and it says make a copy. And you can make a copy of it if you want. And if you want help changing it or something, you can contact us. We can help you some with that.
Sure. And second is for Raj. Raj, you shared that, okay, maybe you can share something on a communication or conversation styles in a conflict. I don't know if I understood you well, but you said that, okay, you can, if you have something that you will be able to share that.
Okay. Well, I think I just want to respond to what Jabba was saying about how to use it in organizations. I think what would be helpful is if you create scenarios where you're seeing difficulty and create those scenarios in your game. Yeah, and this is how it can be used in organizations, is what are the situations that are coming up that bring up conflict when we're not agreeing with each other, or there's way too much discussion and no resolution. Yeah, I just wanted to make sure we mentioned that. So Mandeep, if you could
thanks, Raj.
ask your request again because I wasn't tracking it because I was wanting to focus on
No,
what I have to say.
no problem. Yeah, so Raj, when we were having this conflict wala part, that conflict resolution thing, you shared the routine. Maybe you can also share something on conversation starters or something when we are into conflict. I don't know if I understood you well or you were offering something else.
Okay, I can put some things down. One example would be, this is an important subject. This is an important topic. And I know we both want to put in our input because we both have ideas. It's just like respecting that is that I have an idea, you have an idea. That's a way of saying, I'm not in conflict, but I understand we're not in agreement. You're bringing one perspective and I'm bringing one. It's about acknowledging the differences. So I have a few lines that I can write up that conversation starters so that, or you might hear something that I'm saying that might, trigger you. And I'm wanting to say is that's not my intention. And name it up in advance. And if you notice that we're not in agreement, let's stop it and start having a conversation before we keep going on. Yeah, I'll prepare some.
Thank you.
So Jabba, are you wanting to sign off? Yeah, she's wanting to sign off. Okay, what is it that we're doing for wrap up?
Just what, maybe quickly before you leave, Shalaka, what did you get out of today? If you'd like to be the first to close, that would be great. What are you taking with you from today?
Okay, so quickly, I think a lot of great conversations, sharing triggers, and especially the insights about conflict situations, my own awareness about how do I approach conflict situations, and to start thinking about how do I want to approach similar situations in the future. What would I like to do differently? That's really got me thinking. And then the two activities that we did, I think that opened up a lot of possibilities for me. And I'm in my head, there is a lot of gear shifting and a lot of thinking happening about, oh, where can I use this, in what situation, and how can I make the best use of it. So thank you so much.
Thank you, Shalaka. Who would like to go next? Or maybe Shalaka, you can call in someone.
Okay, I would like to call upon Juliana.
Okay, so I can you give me some time? I need some time. Please, somebody else go. I'll come back. Okay, I'm just trying to collect my thoughts.
Sure, no problem.
Go.
Anchan?
Yes, thank you. Appreciate the power of Just Like Me meditation. It was awesome. Power to, power with, power over. Introspecting over it. And will certainly make this difference and study where I could go wrong, what I can do better. I love the Jamboard activity. I'm already thinking of in what situation we could apply it in our organization, and shortly we'll be sharing with my family as well over this weekend. Thank you. Thank you for all this.
Would you have Go ahead,
Oh,
Mandeep.
sorry. Yeah, Mandeep. Mandeep, would you go?
So 4 things. First is just like meditation, and then what Raj shared about conflict. I'm enjoying that as well. But I'm also having a session with one my team, and I thought that okay, how can I put it into practice? So I have a good practice session to do. And then all the resources that you have shared, Mary and Ivan. I guess that's a gem for the session that okay, we can do as a facilitators. And fourth, I just want to take commitments for myself that I can put it into action as well, that I can really use it and share that okay, this is my experience in the next session. Thank you.
I'll go next. So essence and ego, and then see the humanity in the people you help, then anchors and strategies, and the overarching concepts of connection and need was again reinforced even in conflict in this session of enemy images. And I also appreciate the generosity of Mary and Ivan in sharing the resources, the games, and the sites, the online sites with us. Thank you.
I don't mind going. I loved the common humanity meditation. It was so powerful for me. I loved it. I'm going to really internalize this for myself. And then I loved this moving from what, when I'm responding, moving from what's wrong with me and what's wrong with you to what are my needs and what are your needs. Okay. And then I am still, then also I am still with this, and I would like to, maybe in our small, when we meet on Wednesday, explore like how we can hold everyone's needs with care. And we may not agree with everyone's strategies also at the same time. I would love to look at that a little more deeply. Yeah. And so I got some of it, like empathizing with both the people, both the people's needs, that I got. And yes, and thank you so much for everything. And all these games are, so beautiful. This last one also, the apples to apples, very, very innovative and beautiful games. Yeah, simple. And thank you very much, Mary. Thank you, Ivan. Thank you so much, Raj, Reena, everyone. Thank you so much.
I will go next. For me, I love the meditation. It was a very felt experience, and it just moved me. I was also able to relate to how I respond or react in different situations of conflict. So a lot of awareness on that. Found a lot of shared humanity with others, listening to others. I could relate that, yeah, I am also a lot like others, and others also a lot like me. And yeah, I've made resolution that I will focus on needs no matter what the conflict is, and that will open up a path. I really appreciate the engagement that was there today with the head, heart, and the hands. Very experiential and highly engaging with the activities. And I know a lot of work has gone behind it. It's not easy to create such engagement. So really appreciating, everyone, Mary, Ivan, Raj, Reena, for designing such an experiential session. It really touched my heart. Yeah. Thank you so much.
Did you share, Nazreen?
Yes.
I did, Reena.
Okay, sorry, I missed that. Okay, for me, I think the flow of the Rekha is there. Yeah, Rekha.
You go ahead, Reena. I'll be the next.
Okay, yeah. So the flow of the session was very supportive for engaging, for sharing, and also going in the experience of our lived, situation. And I found the wheel of needs taking me to a very deep space. I know that the cooker at the background, but I'm very grateful for being held during the wheel of
Can't hear you, Reena.
yeah,
Speak a little
feeling
louder.
very held and the wheel of needs by you, Diana, Ivan, and Mandeep. So yeah, it's been a very nourishing experience. Thank you. Rekha?
Yeah, for me, I like the Just Like Me meditation. It was a, I would say, it was eye opener to see when you told when the instruction was given that bring a person who is quite difficult for you at this moment. I did not expect that person to come into picture. I hadn't even thought of that person, but yes, at that moment it did. It was eye opener for me, and all the small nuggets that all through the conversation I can't pick, and this was very important for me, kind of a thing. I can't pick that. All through the conversation, there were quite a few nuggets which I want to go back to and see where it fits in for me. And thank you for the game, Mary, Ivan, Raj, and Reena, all four of you, and all through whole of these sessions from Feb. It has been a wonderful journey. Thank you for that. And thank you, Reena, for introducing me to this platform. Thank you.
Thank you for joining the journey, Rekha, with such depth and sincerity as you do. Thank you. That
I guess
leaves
the environment that was created by all of you who are here, it did give that space to express myself.
And you too, Rekha.
Raj or Yvonne, any closing words?
I can go next. Is that okay, Raj, if I go next?
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah, what I'm taking away from this session is connecting to my essence in a conflict. And the idea, Raj, was when she said the ego and the essence. My way, the way I describe or illustrate the ego is kind of a window to see what's outside, the experience that I'm having outside. So sometimes my ego, the bigger, this is my experience, the bigger the ego is, the smallest the window is. So, and I don't see, sometimes I'm blind. So connecting with the essence, my essence, opens up this window and I can see mutuality and then work together with the other side and working on the base on needs. So this is what I'm taking, connecting with my essence and understanding there's an ego in my essence. Thank you.
So, Yvonne, I'm grateful for how you're explaining in the frame of essence and ego, because I think when I'm ego driven, then that pattern dominates, and then the essence isn't able to show up. But when I start to recognize this pattern, that this is what's running me, is this dominant behavioral pattern, I then can start to change it and replace it with something else, honoring. And often ego is also referred to as jackal thinking. Jackal is based in, I need to keep myself safe. I can't take any risks. I have, my safety will be compromised. Whereas the essence says, live your truth. Let your authentic self show up. Beautiful connections. It was a fabulous evening. I'm glad everybody is connected with something that they're willing to practice. Mary?
I am taking with me tonight the beautiful, beautiful opportunity to hear a number of ways that people's needs have been met. Rick, I'm thinking about your need for freedom with your child's schooling. And I really appreciate hearing and learning just one step deeper into the practice. And I think that every time people share what the nuggets that they got from their conversations, it helps me get one step deeper as well, and one step clearer. So I want to thank you for that. And Raj, there was one little anchor that we forgot to put on our anchor slide. And there's two, right? I like the one that we came up with, the heart. But there was this other anchor that we have. It's my little Raj. It's on my shoulder here, a little Raj. So sometimes I'm like, Raj, what would you say? What would you do? And you're right there. So it's the Raj anchor.
Thank you, Mary. I think, Emmanuel, I don't know what point you joined. I'm wondering if you have anything you'd like to share. So welcome to the call.
Thank you. No, I've was listening in a little bit after 8 o'clock. Then I couldn't. I slept off. So I woke up and I just scared I should be here. I've been here last few minutes. Yeah, I had a session actually from about 7 p.m. yesterday. We went on till practically whole night because the US-based cohort. So that's my context. But I can't say much on this particular thing. I heard bits of it, but it's just the interest to be here. That's the only thing, and a sense of loss of not being here. So that's why I said, even though it's for a few minutes, let me come in.
Oh, it's nice to see you.
Yeah.
But I have the advantage of Nazreen, who will perhaps coach me. Yes, Raj, you're saying something.
Yeah. But no, I'm saying it's nice that you have a place where you can, get some feedback and reflection. And an all-nighter is not easy to pull off like that.
No.
Those are intense meetings.
Yes. I was facilitating a session both yesterday night and this night. So, and today was a graduation. So everyone was in a mood to speak.
For sure. Well, we'll meet you for office hours on next week on Wednesday, and be the last time we meet in that format, and then the following Friday will be our closing session.
Just one point, the last point of Mary, when she said a little Raj, of course, we've noticed the way you facilitate, Raj. But Mary, are you also referring to us as an anchor, our conscience? Is that
an anchor is a place I go to find wisdom, inspiration, and peace.
Ah, okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. When I get ready, when I'm entering into conflict, how do I prepare myself so that I can be the person I'd like to be and live the way I'd like to live in that conflict?
So there's a lot of conversation about going to somewhere where it's calm and I can sit down and I can meditate and I can reflect. So that's an external space. Having that kind of internal space within yourself, and Lucy Liu will call it coming home. Where is that coming home place where you can be, fully resourced? Particularly when you're in a conflict situation, some people have a stone or a gemstone or a picture or an image in their mind that they can take themselves there so they can disconnect from what's going on and come back to source.
Okay.
I think for me, Raj, and thank you for that question, Emmanuel, it's also about family values. Sometimes, my parents are no more, but I live the values that they inculcated and stood for in my own way. But when I lose clarity or feel overwhelmed, then I kind of say in my heart or in my shoulder, but in my heart or backing me, there's somebody behind me to prop me up, which is my father and my mother, for what they stood for, So that's another way of not feeling lonely in a overwhelming situation, but feeling more hopeful and held also.
Nice.
That's what came up for me. And I also have Kabir that I can say, what would Kabir do in this situation, And then I have a flow.
Thank you. Thank you so much, all of you, for the clarifications.
Raj, what is your definition of essence, if you don't mind, please?
The essence is when I am responding for who I truly am, instead of the mask or the facade I have to put on in order to fit in, and I'm not being myself. The essence is the beauty of the human being, the spirit of who I am. Yeah. My phone keeps ringing, sorry. Yeah.
Thank you so much.
Yeah. We'll look at essence a little bit more next time we meet. Yeah.
Thank you.
Bye-bye, everybody.
Bye,
Goodbye.
everyone.
Thank you so much for
Thank you.
See you Wednesday evening.
Bye-bye.
Evening for you, morning for me.
Bye,
Bye.
Mary.
Thank you.
Bye. Bye, Nina.